What's up? It's Ann from Upon Wings, and I'm blowing it up on MetalgodZradiO.
Well, this is Zoran Theodorovic with MetalgodZradiO. We have Ann from Upon Wings on the phone. How are you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm calling from Northern California, and you are, I believe, in Detroit. Is that right?
Yep, just outside of Detroit in Michigan. So I think you probably have better weather than us. I hope so.
Are you facing the normal weather that you have there in Detroit?
Well, right now it's actually, we've had a few days where it's nicer, but for a long time it was just like freezing cold as always this time of year. So
Have you spent most of your life there?
yeah, I am a Michigan girl, born and raised in Michigan, and I love Michigan except for the winter and everything like that. But it's a great state and great rock music, out of Detroit, a great history.
And what's kept you there?
Mainly family. Whole family is here, and so pretty much just family.
Have you delved much into your ancestry? Was religion a big part of your upbringing?
That's a really good question because a lot of times, people hear Upon Wings and you can tell that there's some, faith in there, if that makes sense. So I was raised in, I don't know if I'd say like a religious household because that has a bad connotation sometimes, but I definitely grew up like believing in God with my parents and everything. And then over the years, God and my faith has definitely pulled me through hard times and through losing loved ones and that sort of thing. And so that does come out in some of the music for Upon Wings, not all of it, but some of the music. The theme, is about losing someone you love and having the faith that you'll see them again.
What was your first concert?
Oh my gosh, I love this question so much because, technically my first concert when I was 5 or, super, super young, I think it was the Monkees. They were at a festival and I was obsessed with the Monkees when I was a little kid. They used to run the reruns on a station that I watched. So I think it was the Monkees technically, but I don't remember much from, that first concert. My first concert where I actually got to pick who I went to see is a little embarrassing because it's not like the hard rock and heavy metal that I'm into now, but it was a tour with, it was Goo Goo Dolls, with Fastball and Sugar Ray. And it's funny because I had never been to a concert, I think I was probably 18 or something. I'd never been to a concert as an older person. And I could not believe it. And Goo Goo Dolls, I thought they were like the heaviest band in the world. I was like, this band is so heavy. And I loved it. I mean, the energy, it was sold out. We were just really, shoulder to shoulder. And I remember going up to the very front with my friend. She'd been to a million concerts. And she's like, come on, we're going up to the front. And just like squeezing in the front and being squeezed against that front rail so much it hurt. But it didn't matter because it was just so fun and I loved it. And after that moment I was like, I really want to go to more concerts, which I did.
Do you recall buying memorabilia, t-shirts and whatnot?
I don't think I did at that show, but I have way too many band t-shirts now, and I think the worst feeling is I thought I lost my Iron Maiden shirt, and it's like my favorite band t-shirt, and I was so sad for a month, and then I finally found it at the bottom of a pile of clothes. But yeah, I have way too many band t-shirts. Not at that show, but I definitely do that sort of thing.
Do you remember what your first band t-shirt was?
I really don't know. I feel like some of the early bands that I was into when I first started listening to popular music, because I was not raised listening to rock or metal music. I listened to opera and I sang opera as a kid, and growing up in musical theater, I was always really into. So when it comes to, it's hard for me to remember the first band t-shirt because it probably was one of the early bands, which would maybe be like a post-grunge band, which is really the first stuff that I ever heard on the radio. So maybe like Stained or something like that. But I've definitely made up for it with my collection now. I have a lot of Mastodon merch. I think they have the best band merch out there. Their artwork, is so amazing looking, and I just end up buying more merch from them, even though they aren't my favorite band. I really like them a lot, but their merch is so cool. So I have a lot of different Mastodon stuff.
Do you recall the first music you bought with your own money?
With my own money, not really. I mean, I do remember the first album that I really kind of asked for, and it was Puddle of Mud with Come Clean. And I just remember I was, pretty young, and that song Control was on the radio. And again, it was like when I was, before I even really heard metal music, I was just starting to like listen to rock music. So I do remember asking my parents for that record. And then, if I recall, it has like a boy with his bum, on the record. Kind of reminds me of like a Nirvana cover art. But I remember getting it and being like so excited. But that's the first memory I remember. It was a CD, so it was back when CDs were a thing.
Have you been a collector over the years of music-related items?
I don't know if I'd say I'm a collector. I feel like that should be term is only for these people who like really go on eBay, do the digging and stuff like that. But I just like to support my favorite bands, just how I hope that people, support my band. Like when people buy band merch for Upon Wings, it really helps the band because right now, I mean, especially with touring not happening, but even when touring was happening, for a lot of bands, they're really making a lot of money off the band merch. So I do try to support my favorite bands by purchasing band merch off their website and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't have any like crazy collector's items. I have some autograph stuff. Like, let me see. I'm in my room right now. I've got a POD. Remember those guys? I've got like an autograph thing from them. I've got an autographed Ultra Bridge thing, Theater. So I have some autograph stuff, but nothing like too crazy. Not like the guitar that Eddie Van Halen, smashed back in like 1989, something like that.
We're on year 2, I think. March was the shutdown. How have you adjusted to the COVID reality, and how did it immediately impact you, and have you lost friends to it?
Oh, wow. Well, it's been crazy. I mean, I was just thinking about this last night, how when everything first shut down, it was so hard to like kind of mentally comprehend. It was like, oh my gosh, everything just suddenly shut down and we have to not see people, we can't go anywhere. It was so hard to comprehend, but I think the only reason why I was able to kind of comprehend it is because I thought it'd be short term. You think, okay, we have to do this for a month. This is really weird, but at least it's only a month. And then it just, pretty soon, you figure it out. This is going to last a lot longer. So it's been a really crazy year. I mean, I've tried to look on the positive side and do some things at home that maybe I wouldn't have time to do. Like I have been recording more with Upon Wings, which has been good, and stuff like that. But it's really hard to find a positive ray of light in something so devastating. And I haven't really lost anyone personally to COVID, but I know of people like, a friend of a friend or a family member of a friend who have lost their lives to it. So, I mean, it's just really devastating. I know a lot of people who've had it, and some people were in the hospital for a long time and that sort of thing. So it's been crazy. I mean, and in the music world too, obviously. I mean, last year there were so many concerts scheduled. I remember thinking this is going to be the year of the concert. I mean, there was a big Motley Crue reunion tour coming back, and then I'm a fan of Disturbed, and they had that big The Sickness tour with Stained and everything, and then everything was done. It was so weird. But I've tried to be productive and work on Upon Wings music and do some of those other things that I am still able to do remotely. And I just, hope that things go back to kind of normal sometime soon. Maybe not 100% normal yet, but at least kind of normal.
What can we expect from you musically? I believe you have something in the pipeline. Is that right?
Yeah, so we're going to have a new single out in about a month is when we're shooting. I'm actually right now getting all set up to go up on, Apple, iTunes, and Spotify and stuff like that. So very excited to finally get something out there. It's definitely the heaviest stuff I would say that we've done. A lot of really heavy guitars, which I love, and guitar solos and that sort of thing. So it's nice because we had, the past few years, we kind of released a few holiday tracks and stuff like that, which I really like doing, kind of cheesy like that. But I really missed the heavy side of Upon Wings, because the bands that inspired me to be in a band like Upon Wings are like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and those bands that have the operatic vocal with the heavy metal backing and everything. So in about a month, we'll have the new single out, and if you just look up Upon Wings on Spotify or Apple Music and follow us, then you should get an update, when we have new stuff out, and we'll have a pre-save and a pre-order and all that stuff for the new single. And then we'll be releasing the EP, which will have that single on it a few months later. And that'll also have a track that we released last year, which is Amazing Grace, which we recorded with Corey Lowry of Cedar, and he was also in Saint Estonia. So that'll be on there, and a few like bonus kind of tracks and stuff like that. But I'm very excited to finally get something out there that's heavier with Upon Wings, and I definitely hope that everyone enjoys it.
What is some of the song titles, and what kind of artwork can we expect?
Well, song titles, I'm still solidifying it. I should know in the next few days, actually. But as far as artwork, we're kind of going back to, first of all, I love the whole like theatrical presentation with, a new single or new EP or that sort of thing. Like I like the whole like album cycle or single cycle thing, where you can kind of, you can create like a mood, I guess you could say, or an atmosphere with the new music. I always love playing around with that. So we're kind of going back to the aesthetic of early Upon Wings, which would be a very gothic type of aesthetic. So for artwork and stuff like that, you can expect like a very dark aesthetic for that, and for the music video and everything. It's definitely a more gothic rock type approach than the past few years have been for Upon Wings.
Is there going to be a concept to it, or is it more just a collection of songs?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's more of a collection of songs. It's not really an overlying concept. I think that Upon Wings music, a lot of it is about loss, that sort of thing, and having faith that you'll see people again, and that is on the new EP, even though I wasn't planning on putting it on there, but it just kind of happened. I mean, when you write music, it's like at least I can't really control what I write about. I can't sit down and say, oh, I'm going to write about coffee. I'm going to make a song about coffee. It's like it just kind of comes to you. So that's on there, and some relationship stuff, like breakup stuff, which I never thought Upon Wings would do a breakup song. But then life happens, and then you're kind of, inspired to do a breakup song. So that'll all be on there, but it doesn't really relate. So it's not really a concept record.
What can we expect from a Upon Wings live show?
I would, whenever shows are back, hopefully sometime in the near future, but I would like to do a more theatrical show in the future, because I think the mood of our music is pretty theatrical. Like, we're not like a band that can just go, hey, what's up, Detroit, and then go into the songs and just do a normal show, because our music is just more dramatic than that. So I would hope that, any kind of touring that we can do in the future would, obviously it won't be like a huge, like Iron Maiden level, like budget, type thing, but that we can just somehow incorporate theatrics into the show. And I love getting, the audience involved. That would be great. I don't know if our music is really the kind that people would, chant along with a lot, but maybe, who knows? So I'm definitely looking forward to, hopefully when COVID is behind us, getting out there on the road and playing some shows. And I love small venues too. I love, we have some great tiny venues in Detroit, and I'm sure that you do around where you live, but I love kind of the small, intimate venues, the little rock clubs.
Who are some of the bands that you feel are doing your kind of music proud nowadays?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. It's hard. I feel like our music, I don't even know, where our music really fits in as far as bands that are just like us doing that sort of thing. But I feel like in Europe, people often compare us to Epica or Nightwish, which is a huge compliment. And it's funny, I had never even heard of Epica, and someone was like, you guys sound like Epica. And so I looked them up. This was several years ago, and I was like, yeah, kind of. That's so weird. But I know Epica has a great new record out, and I know Nightwish last year had new stuff out. So I think bands like that are really championing the kind of symphonic metal world. I don't know if I would say we're really straight ahead symphonic metal because we don't really have like a full symphony behind us or anything. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to, pinpoint a genre, but I would almost say we're a little bit new metal, and we just like rock and metal. So, but I would say Epica and Nightwish are doing a great job. And I would say, even a band like Korn, they're obviously not totally like us or anything like that, but a band like Korn, who's been putting out relevant releases for decades at this point, I mean, I think that's pretty amazing when a band can still top the charts 2 decades after their first hit came out.
Do you have a favorite Korn album?
Not really. I mean, I like their debut album. I forget what that was called, but I remember wearing out their debut record and listening to it over and over again. So I really like the debut. And then, I mean, they really haven't put out anything that I, haven't liked the past few decades. Really, I can't think of a Korn album that I, didn't like. I think that a debut album says a lot about a band. And it's interesting when you go back sometimes and listen to a band's debut record, and if it sounds totally different from what they end up becoming, that's always kind of curious to me.
Yeah, I think I saw them open for Danzig, and I didn't know who they were, and they just really blew me away with there was a uniqueness and just a raw energy of it all, and the bass was just so loud, and they were on fire back then.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. They do have great bass. I play bass, so I do. Yeah, that is definitely something I like about Korn. Also, Mudvayne. I was always a huge fan of their bass lines, and Ryan, their bass player. I loved Mudvayne, and I would love for them to do a reunion. I would be very happy.
Great. I see a lot of people ranting on Facebook about, politics and a lot of anger. Do you find it difficult to refrain from doing so on the socials? Have you been blocked? Have you blocked people? Have you engaged in that kind of activity?
That's a good point. I mean, everything is so not just divided now, but it's so volatile. I mean, I feel like sometimes someone can say something that's not political at all, and it can be taken political and just like, it can just become some monster that it never was. I haven't gotten political online. I just feel like Upon Wings, we're definitely not like a political band, but that doesn't mean, I truly think like when I see musicians out there making the headlines because they're saying what they believe politically, I think that's fine. I mean, some people go, oh, they're just musicians, they shouldn't go back to making music. I think that's fine if they have an opinion, even if they're not a political band, and just tell people what you think, use your platform for whatever you want. But we haven't done that because I just want to be a more inclusive band, I guess you could say, and a more inclusive person. And I just stay off the politics because I just want everyone to be involved, and I want it to be like a safe space where everyone can have fun and talk about other things, if that makes sense. But it's definitely scary how volatile everything has become. So that is scary. I don't think that I've blocked anyone or that anyone's blocked me. If if I ever blocked someone, it wasn't because of politics, it was because they sent me like an inappropriate thing, or something like that. But so I don't think so. But it is definitely something. It is a hot topic right now.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to us here at MetalgodZradiO. We really look forward to your upcoming releases and sharing your music here on our show. Is there any final thoughts you'd like to share with any of our audience that might be listening to this?
Well, first of all, thank you for the support. I love your station, and I'm very excited that Upon Wings can be a small part of it, and, keep doing what you're doing because you guys rock, and I really appreciate you championing heavy metal and hard rock music because it's harder these days to find, outlets and stuff that really love the heavy music. So thank you for that. And I would just say that if anyone would like to check out our music, we definitely would appreciate it if you would follow us on Spotify and pre-save the new single when it's up, which will be pretty soon, and that sort of thing. So you can just search Upon Wings on all of those different music platforms, and you can also head to our website, uponwings.com, and our YouTube is youtube.com/uponwingsofficial. But if you head to uponwings.com, you'll find links to like all of our different profiles and stuff like that, and we would love to have you part of Upon Wings.